May the soul of those that have left us rest in perfect peace, and we pray that that their death would not be in vain, and that will carry on the torch to make Nigeria a better place. Amen. All right, guys. So good evening. Welcome to today's episode of the conversation, and it's between myself and Anto. Anto, say hi to the people of the patriotic Nigerians.
Everyone.
Yeah. So this is, first of all, this is just two women that want to push the narrative of engaging your representative and also trying to educate in our own little way. This is not an endorsement program. We're not here to slander anybody. We're not here to throw anybody under the bus. We're not here to endorse any candidates. We're just using our platform to help you to understand the different roles of leaders that we have in our government, and also for you to meet the people that have that would want to represent you. So this conversation series is going to, like, we're going to, as much as possible, try and make it as frequent as possible. And we're going to move from interviewing candidates at every elections that we have. And also, sorry, can you guys hear me? Anto, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, because some people are saying they can't hear me. So I was trying to figure that out. All right. Yeah, so we're going to try and make this as frequent as possible to educate on governance, good governance, help you understand how to communicate with your representatives, help you to understand what you're supposed to ask from your representative, leadership, and all that, right? Because our agenda and our aim is to prepare a generation of a different set of leaders, a different set of leadership and government, and how we can hold our representatives accountable, transparent, and also create a new crop of leadership system. So last conversation, we had a conversation with Mr. John Akerele of Action Alliance Party, and he's a candidate for the Koshofe to Lagos State House of Assembly. You can check for I'm going to post this on my social media page after, the SoundCloud link where you can listen to the conversation. And if you check YouTube on Anto's page, you see the vlog version of it. So follow myself and Anto. I will keep you up to date as much as we can. So today we have two fine gentlemen that are vying for the position of the senator for the Lagos East seat that is currently vacant. And the reason, like I explained in the last conversation, the reason why this is vacant is because unfortunately we lost the representatives that fill those spots. So this is a by-election that was supposed to be October 31st, but INEC has suspended it due to the issues we're currently having in the country. So it's been indefinitely postponed. We'll keep you up to date as to when INEC is going to pass the new date. But the Senate is part of the National Assembly, and as I explained the last time, we run a bicameral legislative system, which means we have House of Reps and we have the Senate body, which makes up the National Assembly. So the senators do similarly what your House of Reps do, but on a senior level, right? So we're going to be talking to two candidates today, Mr. Sorry, one second. We're going to be talking to Mr. Adebowale Jeff Johnson, and we're going to be talking to Mr. Temitope Elijah Taiwo. So I'm going to read Mr. Tope Elijah Taiwo's profile, and Anto will read Mr. Debo's profile, and we will begin the conversation, with questions. And what we want is, when we ask questions, we want it to be as timely as possible so that we can have a robust conversation. And when we ask the preliminary questions, we're going to open the floor for Q&A. So the way we run the Q&A from the audience this time is, please send me your questions in the chat room. When you send it, I would unmute you so that you can ask them yourself. If you would like to turn your videos on, that'll be good, that'll be great. So please drop your questions in the chat room section and, we'll go. So yeah, Mr. Temitope Elijah Taiwo is a former banker and presently a pastor of the RCCG Church. Mr. Taiwo affirms his intent to join the race of candidates vying for the position of Lagos East Senator under the political platform of Young Progressive Party. The YPP candidate elaborates the need for genuine and selfless representative of the people at the National Assembly whose intent isn't for self-aggrandizement or solely to divert funds meant for constituency projects to appease some godfathers. Our allegiance is to the people of Lagos East Senatorial District first before any other, and I won't compromise the growth, development, and welfare meant for my people for another. Mr. Taiwo, that's a quote from Mr. Taiwo. And I'm just going to run through Mr. Taiwo's manifesto, and it goes, I'm not here to only make promises, but I have it backed up with a season plan for effective implementation. One, I will pay utmost attention to the execution of projects, programs, and initiatives which will bring a total infrastructure, human capacity, and life-changing impact to Lagos East Senatorial District. I will join hands with the good representatives in the National Assembly to push initiatives and bills that will better the lives of the populace at large. I organize frequent town hall meetings with my senatorial district in order to connect with the people and get to know their pressing needs as a community. I'll focus on youth development in areas of capacity, innovation, leadership, and self-esteem, because we need to work together to develop seasoned youths if we actually aim for a better nation. I'll use my connection to drive in investors to Lagos East Senatorial District. I'll ensure to push, influence, swift completion of pending projects within Lagos East Senatorial District and Lagos at large. I'll ensure an indigenous preference with regards to job creation for the youths in the Lagos East, with multinational companies springing up in Lagos East. And most importantly, I promise a quality representation and serve the people of Lagos East Senatorial at the National Assembly. That is the world. That is a quick word from Mr. Temitope Taiwo Elijah, who is the YPP candidate for Lagos East by-election, a Senate position, Young Progressive Party. Hi, Mr. Taiwo, how are we doing today? Please say hi to everybody. Sorry, let me unmute Mr. Taiwo. I'm trying to unmute you. Okay. I think when it gets that, but Andrew, you can just go on and read Mr. Debo's profile.
Sure thing. Good evening, everyone. I will give you guys Mr. Debo's file. Ogunlaru Adebowale J. Johnson is one of the leading management consultants in Africa. He is the first youth performance consultant in the world. Prior to 2020, he has worked in 6 consulting firms with 20 years working experience. He also worked with several other organizations in different capacity, ranging from human resource manager, strategy and innovation, business service manager, project resource consultant, corporate affairs manager, and training consultant. He is a speaker on national reforms, a seasoned advisor, and an HR generalist. He is currently the managing director in Purple Prime Limited. In 2005, he joined the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and since played critical roles with the Human Capital Policy Commission. He was involved in several national projects, including the Ministry of Education Reform, which recommended the return of missionary schools, and the review of the NEEDS documents. He was on the team of the Lagos State Ministry of Finance retreat in 2009 and single-handedly managed a team-building retreat for RF planning and optimization units of MTN Nigeria in 2009. He also facilitated a class on total quality management for the Federal Ministry of Power, personal effectiveness for the Ministry of Health, Lagos State, and capacity development for local government chairmen and members of local council commission of the state of Ondo, and has facilitated several training sessions for small and medium-scale organizations. He was involved in the consolidation of Unity Bank, where he played a major role in the HR due diligence bids for the project. He has since managed several HR transformation, large-scale recruitment, NNPC, NLNG, Mobile, GTB, etc., and other management projects for big, medium, and small-scale business. He recently implemented an enterprise transformation for JB Farms and was also the lead consultant project manager for the state of Osun's school administrator selection for the 11 new model schools across the states. He is currently handling digital transformation for some MDAs in Lagos State. Debo's interest in real estate research and advisory has given several opportunities to advise investors or promoters on their projects, starting from the market research, feasibility study report, concept design, business plan, and generating info memos for fundraising, development advisory, and project management, up to channeling the properties to sales and rentals. His experience cuts across commercial, residential, mixed-use development and recent hubs. He has spoken at several university campuses, including University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, University of Ilorin, Federal University of Technology, Minna, Olabisi Onabanjo University, all in Nigeria, and Udegbe North American University, Benin Republic. He is a teacher of value, a writer, and a seasoned orator. He had been on radio several times, speaking on several work-related issues and motivation. He held a page on Timeless magazine, where he educates on several soft issues and business advisory. With the passion to make the youths of Nigeria and Africa become greatly aware, Mr. Jeff Johnson embarked on an African tour. Sorry. Mr. Jeff Johnson embarked on an African tour to engage the African youth in leadership training, root appreciation, and value-driven life. His first stop was Benin Republic in July 2009 in collaboration with GPH of Udegbe North American University. His plan is also here, but I'll just give a brief summary that he has plans for education, agriculture and food security, women engagement, infrastructure, senior citizen and youth engagement, healthcare, and healthcare. So once we ask the questions, he'll go ahead and give us more details on all of those areas. Okay. And that is it from me. Mr. Jeff, thank you for joining us. Let's go ahead and, great. Thanks for coming through today.
Hello, brother, how are you? Brother.
Go ahead.
Brother.
Always on your night dick. I be living rent free. The girl wanna fuck even though she just met. I'm built differently.
Get them out.
Wake up in the morning and I have to take a picture.
Ooh.
This is part of the problem with Zoom. different people will just come up and hack into the meeting.
Anto, please can you start with the questions? Let me figure this out. Yeah.
So my first question for both of our contestants or candidates is, of course, since many of us here are youths, we're interested in actually learning about the electoral process and learning about government itself. When Nigerians complain, we just say, the government is not trying, the government is not doing what have you. But what we need to know is exactly what is the roles of a senator? What exactly is a senator supposed to do for your Lagos East? So, for example, Are you the one that we call when the road is bad? Are you the one that we call when the school doesn't have books? You know, we need to know what the senator is supposed to do. So when we come with our issues, we know what issues come and bring to you. So Mr. Taiwo, you can answer that question for us first.
Well, good evening to everyone.
Mm.
I want to appreciate everyone on this platform. And you are asking a very vital question, and I wish deserve a good answer. The roles of senator in these aspects, I want to see a lot of things, because when you look at what is happening in Nigeria right now, we can as well come together to say many of our leaders have failed because they couldn't do what the people that vote them into the office, what they promised them they would do, they couldn't do it. And that is what has brought all these problems, all the things we've been experiencing for past 3 weeks in Nigeria. And I want to say that the roles of senator are the little things I've known about them, because I've happened to be with somebody when I was very small who happens to be a senator from Ogun State. I discovered that we have a lot of things to have done as a senator. Number one, we need to do something about our people that put us in the office. Number one, we need to make sure their well-being is being well understood, in the sense that we need to cater for their well-being. Number two, we need to get them, fix them in a particular
I think there's something wrong with Mr. Taiwo's internet. Okay, can Mr. Jeff answer that question whilst Mr. Taiwo figures out his internet?
Mr. Jeff, just help us unmute. Can't hear you. Oh, can you unmute him?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Okay, so now, so I was muted before, so I couldn't unmute myself. All right, so thank you for having me. The role of a legislator basically is to make laws. There's nothing else beyond lawmaking. It's to legislate laws and bills that will enhance the executives to do their work, as much as the judiciary to be able to again use the laws as it's been issued by the legislative arm to actually guide the operations of the executive. So yes, if you should ask who should be held responsible, or a senator, role. Who will be held responsible will be the executive, the governor of the state, if it's a state road. The local government chairman, if it's a local, street road. It will be the federal government, Minister of Works and Housing, for the federal roads. So the legislature is the senator, the person in the House, whether as a Senate or even in the House of Representatives, is only supposed to come up with laws. And the Nigerian Constitution has given the opportunity for constitutional projects, so constituency project, so projects that a senator, for example, when I become the senator, I will be representing 5 local governments in Lagos State. 5 local government put together will be Shomolu, Koshofe, Ikorodu, Ekwe, and Ibejuleki. So now it'll be for me to actually look at infrastructure, to look at education, to look at security, and all this stuff I want to do is to be able to look at the laws and say, how does it affect the common man on the street? But then I have the capacity to be able to say, there is a road leading to my village that is not good, and then I'm putting it in the budget. But it is not the senator who is to do the implementation. It's the Ministry of Works. But the senator is to ensure that that project is done. So the senator is not the project. Is actually done. If there is a school that needs rehabilitation or books needs to be put in libraries, because the senator is representing the interests of the people in those local government, then it is for the senator to ensure that those things are done by actually going to ensure that the stakeholders who are to implement actually do the work. So it is not for the senator to be the one to come up with laws and bills that helps it to be done, and also helps and works with the executive to ensure that those things that are required are actually done on the ground. So that's the role of a senator.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. I don't think Mr. Taiwo is back on, but we'll just continue. We'll continue with you till he joins back on, and we'll go on from there. But so my question is, now this the senatorial district that you are governing is a very pivotal, very diverse. It's a diverse combination, right, of constituency. So you have sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, okay. So you have Ibejuleki, you have Shomolu, they are both situated in like almost, if you would say, like different ends of Lagos, and there are dynamics that works with these sides of Lagos. Now, my question is, how do you bridge the gap in terms of communication between these two distinct demographics in terms of class and in terms of age, in terms of what your manifesto is saying? Before we go into it, how do you intend to bridge this gap between the demographic in terms of age and in terms of class?
Okay, thank you. So basically, one of the things that we want to focus on will be to use a lot on the side of technology. We're going to use a lot of technology to drive everything we're going to do. So it is imperative to know that the world in itself, before now, and I think before 2020, and in last year, in the corporate environment, there was a lot of conversations around the future of work. And so a lot of the research that I've been doing, even prior to that time, and without even knowing that COVID-19 was going to happen this year, had been about addressing how we bring the future even into Nigeria so that we're not far behind. A lot of AIs, a lot of conversations around AR and AIs and all these other Internet of Things and all of that have been going on around the world. But again, so that we don't lose out here in Nigeria, we have been talking about how that happens. So for us, if you take the different demography and you take the economic class, the difference between the economic class, you will then understand how to actually communicate, to people based on that particular differentiation. So technology can be driven even to those who may be in the middle class and the lower class of Shomolu, for example. Shomolu also have, the Bagada Phase 2, for example, and the Bagada Sholu church side, where you have a mix of middle class and the high class, socioeconomic, residents. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, we will not be able to speak to everybody across all spectrum. But it just means that the mode and the channel we're going to choose to speak to everybody is actually based on the understanding that we know that they have. So if I'm going to be talking to somebody who doesn't really understand a lot on the a lot of the big English, and the rest of it, it is about bringing it down to the communication language that speaks to them, breaking it down into probably Pidgin and probably speaking Yoruba and the rest of it. And then when we go to an Ibejuleki, where you have all the big boys and all of that in their estate, it'll be easier to communicate with them, with all the big English and the big data, again, because of their environment, because they are in an estate and all that stuff. But, the gap between Shomolu and Ibejuleki is not too far apart. In Shomolu, everywhere is already built up, literally, and there are already business activity. So it's about looking at the informal sector and picking those informal sector and going to them to actually speak their language to them. And when I mean their language, it is what do they understand? So for a spare parts dealer that is in Folagro, for example, that are probably selling tires or batteries and all of that, the idea and the communication to them will be different from the strategy we will use for somebody who is in the Ibejuleki. So we have already factored in all of those things in how we're going to communicate. So it's going to be about the different environment. If we talk about the project and the things we will do, it will be based on their need. So, for example, one of the things we have planned to do, we were hoping that November 1st, which was already approved as the National Youth Day, would have been the day we will be celebrating our victory. And then between November 1st and December, before the Senate breaks, we're going to do a current position assessment of each of the different local government, and also coming down to the LCDAs that exist within those local government, and actually find out the critical current position of each of those places, and then use that as what will inform us on how we will go forward with the implementation of the things that we will need to do come 2021. So the gaps are not so far apart, but the different projects that will happen in each of the different local government will vary based on the current position as we find on ground. So I lived all my life between Obanikoro, Pedro, Bagada, and I'm now living in Shomolu. My primary school was in Maryland. My secondary school was in Antony. I'd lived in Ketu before. I am from Imota, Imota LCDA. It has its LCDA, but under Ikorodu local government. So, and I visit that area very well. In fact, if I could share a video of how bad the road between Sabo and Itokin is, you will see how terrible that stretch of road is. And this is about a road of about 10 kilometers. And it's just so terrible that it's impossible for vehicles, to pass by. And, things like that is not going to be the same kind of strategy I would choose in dealing with such a problem in that area. I would go and deploy same thing in the Ibejuleki, because the difference in the demography will definitely impact on what we'll do on ground.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff, for that answer. Mr. Mr. Topper is back. So I'm going to unmute him so he can pick up from where, yeah. Hello, Mr. Topper.
Yes, I'm online. The network is bad because I'm at home.
Oh, okay.
In some places.
So sorry. Anto, you can fire on with your question for Mr. Topper.
Here, but the basic element of politics. We know in Nigeria there are certain parties that are a bit more predominant, but now that everyone is trying to educate themselves and inform themselves, we know that you two represent two different parties that are not those first two. So can you just let us know why you chose those parties and what are the actual value systems of your parties? I think that's something we would all love to know.
Hello, can you come again? I can't hear what you said very well.
We want to know, why did you pick your party and what are the value systems of that party?
Okay. Wow. I love that. I love that question. Why did I pick my party, YPP, Young Progressive Party? I discovered that I'm young. I'm between 40, going to 41. I'm still young. So some of us has been in one party or one or two parties before. I could remember I was this party when I was in Kwara State, ACN. I discovered that a lot of things is going on in that party. And I left the party. I also experienced a little things in PDP. When I got there, I discovered that they have a lot of troubles in that party. And if I should join that party to say that I want to realize my potential in life, I may not get to where I'm going faster. So, number one, I choose YPP because we have a goal, and we have a plan, and we have a solid foundation. And number two, I picked that party because I discovered that the caliber of people in that party, they are intelligent, they are there to work to serve Nigeria, not to serve their pockets, not to serve any fatherlism, and not to serve Godfather, not to serve, all kinds of things that we are seeing in other parties. So I discovered that in YPP, because I took my time to see what is happening in YPP before I joined the party. I did not join the party in the first place when they started 4 years ago. I joined the party, that should be around 3 years now. I've been in YPP for over 3 years. And I discovered
Network again.
Oh wow, Mr. Tokwe's internet is really a trip today. I'm most likely guessing if it doesn't go well today, we'll have to bring him back on. All right. Okay, let's go to Mr. Jeff. I think, guys, if Mr. Tokwe's internet keeps going off, we'll have to bring him back again so that you guys can properly hear him. But Mr. Jeff, please go on.
Okay, thank you very much, Onyeko and Anto. Yes, so ADP. I chose ADP because
So what's the full meaning of ADP?
of ADP, Action Democratic Party. Action Democratic Party. So before the last election, when I made my intention known and I put it out to the public, like I am interested, a sister friend of mine reached out and said, Debo, come to ADP and come and see what's going on. And then I came into the Lagos chapter. I sat down with the person of the state chairman, Barrister Nasiru Adewale. I'm sure he's connected, is joining us this evening. And I asked critical questions about the party, and he stated some things clean and clear. Minimum of 50% of the leadership of ADP, whether as to national or state or local working committee, even to the position of candidacy, is strictly for the youth, 40 and below. And, and that was quite an interesting one. I said, oh, okay, that's fantastic. And as much as possible, if there are much more than 50, 60, 70% of the candidate or the aspirant that comes out that are youth, they're willing to take them as much as the people, the general public is willing to vote for them. So it leaves it to the point that minimum 50, but maximum as much as 100%, they're willing to throw it open to the youth. Critical thing they also mentioned is at least a sizable number of the remaining 50% is going to be for women, including youth and also older women that may be above 40. There are willing of female aspirants that came out under the party. I observed that in the last election. And then when this seat became vacant again, with the soul of the dearly departed Senator Oshinowo passed on, I was called on by the party again, and I decided to look inward. I made some consultation, and I decided to give myself to the party, more so because they have decided that they could have easily gotten somebody older, maybe somebody who had money and all of that, but they were willing to put forward a young person. And that is why I am their candidate of today. I remember during the primaries, that was set up by the party, it was an unopposed, unanimous, celebration on that day when I was appointed. The entire party structure, over 100, party members that were at the secretariat at Ikorodu that particular day, sang my name. The journey started for me. So the party has had the ideology of giving the youth and women and having equality, to people across board, and that's why the party is chosen. So it's a platform that even as of last election, yes, I should say this, it was stated to be the third force in Lagos, in the sense that if you look at the first or second, it was a third party that had the next number of votes from voters, and the party has structure from national to regional to state to local government and even up to world level. So it's a party that has structure. It's a party that has people, well-meaning Nigerians, who are willing and are advising on moving forward. So that's why I chose the party, Action Democratic Party.
All right. Mr. Tokwe is back on, so I'll let him finish his what he was explaining, then I'll ask my question. Mr. Tokwe, I'm unmuting you now.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, just have to take me the way it is tonight, because where I find myself tonight is a place that the network there is very bad. So sorry.
Yeah, we understand.
What I'm trying to say before the network went down, I said I joined YPP because I've been in the party for over 3 years now in Lagos, because I've seen the outside and inside of the party, and I discovered that I have some people that has good intention. I have some people that they have been, putting their own personal money. They are putting their own personal money down for the party. So I discovered that these people, it's not that they have intention of even eating where they have not sown. If they can go to an extent putting their own money, their own personal money down for the party. I saw the way they used to contribute money, to bring somebody up in their party. I said, wow, this is a good party. And it's not just I just joined the party. When I discovered that when I was in school, I've told myself that if God help me in the future, that the future that has come now, that I would love to join a good party, that whenever I come out, at least people will see reason why one has joined a party. And join YPP, I have gone through their objectives. I have seen all what they have at, what they have penned down. And I know that they have very good intention for Nigeria. So, and as somebody like me, I also have good intention for Nigeria. So I now discovered, let me join my faith with these people, and let's see what can come out together for our party. And that is why when the option comes out 5 months ago, when I said, Mr. Taiwo, we want you to come out under our party for so. I lived in Ibejuleki, and I've been there for so many years. Truly, I'm not from, my dad is not from Ibejuleki, but my mom is from Ibejuleki, and which happens to be Bogije. So I've lived all my life in that place, and I've seen why I should come out under this party, and I've discovered that if I should come out in another party, I may have problem, because some of the parties that you may decide to come out from, some of them has a very foundational problem. And when you come out from a party that has a very foundational problem, it will really affect your objective and what you have intention of doing. And that's why I found myself in YPP, and I'm happy to come out under that party. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tokwe, for that. So the next question I want to ask, which is very interesting, is because both of you are situated and you've grown up in the extreme parts of the constituency. So Mr. Jeff said is grown up around the Maryland axis of the district, and Mr. Tokwe said he has grown up at Bogije, which I'm very familiar with, axis. So now my question is, these 2 points, these two this constituent that you guys are vying for are very pivotal aspects of Lagos. So the My 12 market, which is a central market for almost the whole of Nigeria, is situated in your constituency at Koshofe, and Ibejuleki is a new entry point for economic development in Lagos State, which Lagos State has been declared as the economic capital of Africa. Now, what are the policies? Can you give me one policy that should you be elected, what is that one policy or that one bill that you would love to push to maximize the opportunities of a Mile 12, for example, and an Ibejuleki free trade zone opening, for example? So what was that one bill or policy that you would love to push to maximize the opportunities from those 2 points? So I'll start with Mr. Jeff.
Thank you, yeah, so basically, my team and I, and I'll say this, my team and I had actually spent time, like I said, I'm from Imota. There's already a market built to move, the Mile 12 guys from where it is in Mile 12 down to Imota. It's completely built, but there's still, I think, road infrastructure that needs to be done before the movement is done. So I want to believe that will be done hopefully next year. So we can then free up that Mile 12 bottleneck a bit so that traffic can ease off into Ikorodu. So the state government is already doing a lot in that regard. So yes, I will be supporting the states to ensure that that is done, and the infrastructure that is required to make sure that market is moved to Imota and it opens up that axis, and then it opens up the bottleneck at Mile 12 to create more access road, for people to be able to access Ikorodu, can be a bit more free flowing. So yes, that I will be working with. On the side of what I will be doing in this region, critically, we have said that we're going to do something around food security. Already, if you look security for 2021, you will discover that there are quite a lot of reports that says that there will be food scarcity next year, again, because of the COVID-19. And the COVID-19, event itself has cost a lot of farmers from actually going to farm and actually producing food, and all that, because of the lockdown. So next year, there's going to be strain, and already we can see a cup, a Derika cup of rice is now 500 naira, and it wasn't, I think it was there. There is a meal, there's a rice meal, which is the lake rice that already is situated at Imota. But the capacity is there to mill rice, but the raw material is not enough. So that's why you are not seeing the lake rice as much as you will see it in the market. So what we want to do is to be able to use all the mass of land that is still arable, that can still be, cultivated, that spans from Maya down into Imota, down to Itoki. There's another K2 towards Ekpe. There's a whole lot of mass of land in that direction that are still arable and that can be used, for food production. So part of the design, part of the work that my team and I had come up with is that we're going to be empowering farmers, empowering youths and women, to be farmers, to actually become farm managers. So we're going to have clusters of cassava plantation, pineapple plantations, and the likes, where we would put farm managers, we'll put the youth, so we can put a youth to 1 hectare, and we'll provide them with, with the seeds, we'll provide them with fertilizers and and the machineries that they're going to use to work and ensure that they produce. We would also create hubs in each of those key clusters that will become the off-taker of every farm produce. So you have a farm, you're a cassava farmer, you don't have to produce your cassava and you're still looking for who is going to buy it from you. You're not worried about who is going to buy it, because all you need to do is focus on your 1,000 or your 1 hectare of cassava plantation. And when it is time for harvest, you call us in, you harvest, we'll pick it up from you and pay you, and you go back to farm, so that we will then collect. So imagine that we have, farmers, cassava farmers across the West African coast, all the way down to Kogi, that we can mop up all their cassava. So we can bring that into that hole and, begin to sort and grade and, do other things that can be, be done with it. There's a huge demand for cassava in cassava is used for ethanol. So for us is we want to be able to use, the land that exists in that region and use it for food production. Now, if you talk about Ibejuleki, now Ibejuleki Ekpe has the capacity of becoming the fish hub of Africa. Ibejuleki Ekpe can become the fish hub of Africa. So we're going to turn that region into that, and we're going to create fish farms, hubs where if you want to go into fish farming, you don't have to start looking for land, and then you need to do your ponds, and then you need to dig boreholes and all of that. All of that will be in existence. So all you need to do is just to come and lease a pond, and then you get your input from there. You get the food from there that you use to feed your fish. If you want to manage it yourself, all well and good. If you want to get youth who you would have as managers of each of your ponds, they will be there. Now, if you also want to process, we would have processing, region within that hub that we are creating. If you want to package, we have a packaging region within that hub that we are creating in that region. So again, the work of the legislator, the work of a senator is to legislate laws to actually ensure that this become easy to do. So we are going to be pushing for bills and laws that would empower the youth to be able to have these hubs. Meanwhile, we already have an approved direct investment, both locally and internationally, to be able to pump into this project. This was something that we had already had in the pipeline without even knowing that the election was going to come this year. So this is what we have in plan, and this is what we are going to do with this region, Lagos East. All of the remaining side from my 12 down into Shomolu here is already built up. What we're going to be doing is focusing on the youth that are here and how we can empower them based on the informal sector that has been, where they play in, so that we can empower them and we can get them up and running. We already have a plan to give 100,000 naira each to every SMEs, but we're talking to a microfinance bank to actually drive that. As soon as the microfinance bank and us finalize on that agreement, we're going to be giving SME owners, people who have thriving businesses, and they're just looking for capital to be injected into their business, to get 100,000 naira each, and that will help them. And I will tell you this, it's 0% interest, and it's 6-month moratorium, which means for the first 6 months, they are not paying a dime back. It's until the 7th month that they will now start paying back the 16,667 naira that they'll be paying back every month for the next 6 months. This is what we plan. Thank you.
Interesting. First of all, one of the things I like to pick out is that your money, your proposed injection is more than trader money. So I'm looking forward to that. Should you go into get into office, Mr. Tokwe, can you please give us? Let's hear from you on that question too.
Okay, thank you. We have a lot of things that we have written, and we have it in mind of doing. Like what I said, that I stay at Ibejuleki, and I've been living there for some times now. I discover so many things that we need to buckle up, in the sense that there are some things that we need to do urgently, especially in Ibejuleki. We have so many complaints that are coming into our place, especially Dangote, oil, and all kind of things, Indomie, what they call it, other many complaints that we have in our houses here. I was going around last 2 weeks, and I discovered that in Ibejuleki alone, we have about 30 complaints in Ibejuleki, from Eleko to Folu side. I discovered that we have a lot of complaints that are coming up, springing forth in that place. And one thing, me as a person that I've been doing, I have let me call it just a small company that I'm running within Dangote Refinery. And I discovered that so many things supposed to have been put in place in cause of our people that are looking for job. But I discovered that the task of so-called things that we have here and the ships that we have here. No, Dangote says they should be collecting 150,000 naira. But do you know that some of the workers that are working in Dangote, they are giving them, some of them were collecting 55,000 out of that 150. Some of them are collecting 60,000. And they will not even collect that money, the actual month. They will be collecting maybe middle of the another month. I discovered a lot of things in this assist, and I want to appreciate what my brother just said, that is thinking that maybe we will have a kind of farm, a kind of, it's good. But I discovered that many people that I've discovered in Ibejuleki, if you put them in farm, they won't do anything. Because I've mingled with them, I've discovered a lot of things about. There was a time I started one small farming, and I put about 8 of them. Do you know that within 6 months, they've destroyed what I put down there? So I discovered that many of them, what I think they can do is to engage them with something that they will be doing, that they will be handling salary every month. And the first thing I have in mind of doing, I'm going to see into all the complaints as a senator elected. I'm going to see into all complaints that we have in our assets in Ibejuleki, and I will make sure that life is easy for everyone working there. I'm talking about our youth, because when you come to Ibejuleki, half of the youths that are working in Ibejuleki, they are from outside. And you will ask me, why are they not working there? Some of them, they don't have what it takes to work in a company. And that is the problem we are having with our people here. But at the same time, what I have in mind to do in Ibejuleki, I also have a kind of, having a kind of cooperative. We have analyzed that one, and with what I said, we are going to have it in all the 5 local governments. We have one in Ibejuleki, we will have one also in Ekwe, Shemolu, Koshofe, and Ikorodu. There we will be releasing money to this cooperative every month, so that our youth can come there and get little money to start something for themselves. At the same time, with what my brother said, he said something that we also are planning. Maybe because the 2 of us were youths, that's the same thing we are also planning to do for all our youths, that when they come to collect this money, we are going to give them some time so that they can use this money to even invest so much, so that when they will start, paying the money back, it will be very easy for them. And at the same time, I look at my team and Ikorodu. A lot of things, a lot of work. We have a lot of things to do in that place. During this NSAS, I happen to go around and I see so many things that happen in Ikorodu and Ketu side. I discovered that we need to work on our youth. A lot of orientation will be going on when we resume office. Why did I say so? I happens to be in Ikorodu when they were doing their campaign. and I saw so many youths. I was surprised that day. They came from nowhere, and even those of us that are protesting, what we are protesting for, we couldn't wait. We have to take our leave out of that place, because some of them have turned into money. They were collecting money from people. They were doing all kinds of things. But what am I trying to say? Because some of these youth, they were not engaged with something. There's nothing they are doing. And we have it in plan that that's why I put it in my manifesto. I said, we will engage them. We will be having town hall meeting with every one of our youth. At least with what I told the chairman of our party, I said, maybe three months, I will be engaging them, talking to them, and telling them why they have to be useful for themselves now, before the time goes. So we have a lot we have put on ground. We can't be saying all, but the little things we know that we can put together, and with the little things that we think we can do in their lives, we have it in our mind, and we have penned it down. That we will make sure that when we resume office, we will use all our power to bring investors into, especially Ibeduleki and Ikorodu and Epe, because we have so many land in diocese. Like what my brother said, that we can lease a lot of acres in that place, and we will put something on ground for them. And that is what we have in mind, and we pray that God will help us.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tokwe. There was so much passion, in that response. Anto.
Just making a combination of various Instagram questions. But what are your plans, each of you, your plans for accountability and transparency? Being that so many youth are more interested in how these things are actually working. Once you are fortunate enough to move to Abuja to represent everyone, they would like to know, how can they actually reach you, and how will they actually know what you're working on? Every few days we see pictures of people in the house, people just there talking, just sleeping. How do we actually know that you are working when you go to Abuja? What are your plans to be able to disseminate information to these people who are sitting on this Zoom, and the people who don't even know that you're running for office? Those people are still being represented by you. So how do you plan to communicate your plans, your happenings, because it's no longer your plans, actually your workings? How do you plan to keep everyone in the loop?
All right, Mr. Tokwe, please answer.
Okay.
Go first here.
Okay. Thank you. For our youth to know that we are working, like what I said in where I went to meet a group of people yesterday, and I told them that for you to know that we mean what we are saying, like what I said in the first place, I said we are going to engage them. Number one, for them to know that when you resume office, you have PAs. That one is sure. And there are some people that, because when you get to the office, that is why so many of our politicians, when they get to the office, they don't do what they have promised. It's because they don't have plan. They don't have they don't have anything they pen down. And some of these things is really affecting our districts, our senatorial district. What did I mean by saying this? Because the man that came out under APC, I discussed, and I went to one of his campaign in Ibeduleki. The man he said something. He said, I don't know. I never knew that we have this type of place in Lagos. That man said. I was there. Nobody knows that I was there. I looked at him. I said, you don't know that we have this type of place in our senatorial districts. Okay. So I just kept quiet. But he said something. He said, if God help us, that shows that he said simply means the money that will be coming from Abuja to our districts. There are some people that are, we don't need to talk much on that one. Because why some of these people are not doing anything, it's because the money, they have Godfather, and the money is being, I must not be telling you how the money is being cut. But what am I trying to say? For the people that have put us in the office, for them to know that we mean what we are saying, and they will see our handwriting on the wall that we are really working. What we have in plan to do is that in all the 5 local governments, there will be representatives in all the 5 local governments. And anyone they pick to represent them will be the one that will be as well attendees to them every time. Because most times, as a senator, you may be having meetings in all kinds of places, but when you have a representative from each local government and you have an office that as many as possible from each local government can go and tender their needs, will be able to meet it and will be able to come out with something good for them. And I promise, like what I said in 1 year that I enter office, a lot of things, our handwriting will be that have been going in that trend of.
I want to know exactly how do you plan for the people who you are, who elected you or you're going to represent. They want to know exactly how you plan to be you, not your aides, not your whomever. How do you plan to be transparent and accountable? How will they be able to reach you? Do you plan to have some kind of program where they can constantly see what you are doing? We want to stay on the question itself.
Okay. The transparent we are talking about is a it's a mind of say. No, what am I trying to say is that when we talk about transparency, the people that will be working with us, we will be transparent to them in the sense that most of these people, we will make sure that whatever we are doing, we carry them along. And whatever that comes to our districts, our senatorial districts, we will let them know, and it will be spent correctly, and we will make sure that that money is targeted to what we have it for.
Okay, Mr. Jeff, would you like to answer the question for us?
Yes. How would I be transparent? Currently,
I think it's more of like, what structures are you going to put in place to
Okay.
Yeah, to ensure accountability and transparency?
Okay, thank you very much. We already have a website, and it's it's going to become a full performance management system, in the sense that it will be interactive and it will allow us post the projects that we have, which again, every project that we're going to do will be at the instance of the people. So that's why it's even important for INEC to have us elected or have me elected now, so that I can, in the 2021 budget, I can already put in, the projects that we need to do that will impact this region. So on our website, we're going to have those projects outlined there, and we're going to have the different stages of the project. And people on ground will be able to come on that platform and say, this is how far each of those projects is, and whether we're seeing the reality of it. Because if you say, for example, equip a library in a school in Ikorodu, for example, I may not necessarily be able to visit the project on a week-by-week basis, but the people who are on ground will be able to see the project and see that, yes, there are books in the library, or the library is there and there's nothing there. And they can actually say that, yes, so this particular library of this school is supposed to, by so time, should have been equipped with books, but as we speak, there's nothing there. So that it becomes easier for us to take those feedbacks and be able to work by engaging the people who should be. That needs to happen, a road somewhere, stuff like that, and it's not being done. The people can actually take pictures and actually send it and put it on the website. So that's one. Number two, currently my phone number is online. I'm not I'm not a ghost. I'm not somebody that cannot be reached. So if you Google my name, for example, you will find my number. So it's the same number that I've had, I'm going to continue to have. So you want to reach me, please feel free. My social media handles are open, for anybody to connect. In fact, since I came out and my candidacy has been announced, I have been accepting friendship on Facebook like every other hour. And, after the session I had earlier at 2:00 earlier today, I have since, gotten a lot of, invitation on Instagram that I've accepted. So yes, those will be the channel. But that being said, we're also going to create a stakeholder engagement program that will allow us engage everybody at each of the different local governments, heads of the informal sector, heads of the formal sector, wherever it is. We would have volunteers in each of the different local governments. So those will be our go-to people, to be able to, have that, discussion. I have also said that as many times as possible within a month that I can be in Lagos and I don't have to remain in Abuja, I am going to be in Lagos. And I have to ensure that every time I visit Lagos, I am visiting every stakeholder that is important for me to see per time. Again, right from the number one man, which is of the state, which is the governor of the state. So definitely, every time I'm in Lagos, I'm going to be having meetings with the state governors, with the local government chairman of all the 5 local governments, and also all the leaders as much as possible to have community engagement. That is the only way you can guarantee that there's a structure for accountability. So we're not going to be far from the people. My team will remain my team when we get into office. And they will be very much accessible to everybody to ensure that we continue to hear back from our people and represent them correctly.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. So some people's feedback is that over time they found out that, when once elected, you people change your number, your phone number, and you verify and lock your accounts. So they don't really trust that. But one of the things I'm through our conversation, I've noticed is that you're so confident. You keep using the word when I get elected. I don't know whether it's faith talking or it's just a lot of confidence talking. But my question is this. I've gone through your profile. I've gone through Mr. Tope's profile. Why politics? Why governance? Why are you leaving such a rich background of experience? You're obviously like a successful, human, HR professional. Mr. Tope has been a successful banker. So why are you people leaving your successful private life and coming into government? What is your driving? Why? Yeah, just answer for us. Why?
Okay, thank you. I'll say this. I'm assuring everyone who is listening and who is probably going to vote for me that I will remain open. Like I said, the website is there, my social media is there, my phone number is there. Definitely, there'll probably be a number given to me in the house. That I will carry that as well, and including the same number. It's been the number I've been using for years, and those who know me, who are also connected here, know that there's the same number I've been carrying for years. So that will be. So why am I doing this? Like I said, like Anto read in my profile, since 2005, when I joined the NESG to review Obasanjo's blueprint then, President Obasanjo's blueprint then, I have since been part of policy formulation. I will say this here. I remember that particular project. A certain mother of mine, not my biological mother, but I call her my mom, Mrs. Wonuala Taiwo. She called me and said, Debo, I want you to review a document for me. And I went to our office and I joined our business then. That was when I left Phillips Consulting and I joined Soft Skills. And I picked up the document and I said, oh, what's this about? And she told me what the project was about. It was NESG and, stuff like that. There was a summit happening at the end of the year. This was like mid-year or so or thereabout, or I think about this time, and she was to prepare herself to make a presentation on that document and all that stuff. So I reviewed that document and then I went back to her and I said, Mommy, I've reviewed the document and I think, yes, it's good to bring private sector participation into education. But I can't write the policy. I can't write the recommendation for Nigeria. for the next 5 years of what Nigeria needs to do in education. You have to write it. At this time, literally, as I always say, I was a nobody. And she said, Debo, you read the document, you reviewed it, go and write it. And I went back into the office that I was given, and I went to God in prayers, and I walked around, praying to God and saying, God, lead me and help me. And I started drafting. And I drafted how the private sector will play in the public sector, again, in education. And I recommended that the unity schools belonging to the federal government should actually be handed over to a private sector to run the daily operation, and ensure that the schools are viable. While the federal government should continue to do policy, again, curriculum development, and again, funding. And, the missions, the schools owned by the missions should be given back to them. Let them run it. While governments continue to supersede based on, curriculum development and the likes. And about a year after, Dr. Ezekwesili was brought into the Ministry of Education to reform, and she needed to implement that. Somebody else totally, Mrs. Nike de Souza is her name, the MD of People Temp and People Prime, called me up and said, Debo, this is your work that you did some time ago. You need to come and look at it again. And, let me read the SMS, the way she wrote it. Said, Debo, your skills are required in Lagos. At this time, I was at Olabisi Onabanjo University, having my BSc. I left Lagos on Thursday, reached there on Friday, and Saturday morning, I was flying to Abuja. I was at Hilton, and everybody walked in, including Mrs. Wonola Adetayo. I prostrated, and she said, Aburo, Otudebi, that is how, I have been part of policy formulation over the years. And I have designed strategies at the state level to, for revenue generation. But a lot of the time, people take my ideas, they steal them, and they don't give me any accolades, which I don't necessarily need. But when you take my idea and you steal it and you don't even call me to it, and then you go and make a mess of it, it'll be difficult for me to come up with that same idea and sell it to another, government that is willing to listen. And they will listen because somebody has failed at it, because it was not the idea in the first place anyway. So instead of waiting, and all that I do is just wait on proposal to proposal, where I have to write proposal and I'm waiting for somebody to approve, where I have to wait and, be lobbying for people to, listen to what I have to say. So it is time, for us in the consulting environment, we call it policy. In the legislative, in the public sector, it's called laws and bills, and, that has to be passed. So for me, it is important for me that I get into that house and be part of the work that we need to do to ensure that people begin to see the real policies that affect businesses and help them to grow. A lot of the laws and the bills and the policies that we have currently may not be supporting SMEs and MSMEs and businesses to thrive. So it is important that we have good representation. The youth have good representation in the house that helps to speak the language that they need to hear. The world is getting into digitalization, AIs, ARs, and Internet of Things, animation, gaming, and all of that. Somebody needs to be in that house speaking that language. We can't continue to wait for our elders who have retired, either as ex-governors or have retired as ex-politicians, to go into the red chamber and go and use the cushion in the red chamber as a sleeping, let me not say further. But that is what we have seen over the years. So we need to correct that by we young people who see the future, who know the future, go in there and go and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Jeff, you're assuring us that you're not going to sleep in the house, because if we catch your picture,
I will not sleep in the house.
It shall be a very nice name for this generation. And I would personally make sure of that.
I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that so much. I will not sleep in the house. It's not possible.
All right, Mr. Tope, please answer the question, please. Why politics? You've had a successful career, as a banker. Why governance? Why politics?
Thank you. Politics. That is what I hate. If somebody should tell me politics when I was in school, I hate it with passion. I hate politics. But I discovered something one day. I was in Ilorin one day, and I saw I saw something that one of our ex-politician, Saraki, what he did in Ilorin one day. It was coming, I don't know, the thing happens. I was going through Taiwo Road in Ilorin, and this man was coming out from, I've forgotten the name of that street. And people were, in mass, they were just following they want this man to spray their money. But do you know what this man did to one of the women that went to research the tire of his Jeep? The man came and said, "Do you want to die? I don't have any money to give. Do you want the money you are asking from me?" I was surprised. And that day, about 7 Jeep followed this man. So I said, wow, this is what is happening in politics. Even with all the money you people have gotten, you don't even have sympathy to help people. So I just said within I said, if God give me an opportunity tomorrow to become somebody in Nigeria, in my states, I will come out for something. And I never knew that this one would come up. What am I trying to say? I asked my dad a question. I said, Nigeria has come to this level because when your age then were, putting their best in politics, in whatever they are doing to be the head of this nation, where were you? Because you are part of people that are blaming people that are there, that like what somebody said. He said, Buhari came out 1983. That 1983, somebody said something that life was so difficult for them. The person that told me was old now, told me. And I said, well, you know that this person, because that 1983, I was very young then, very small. So you know what's like now, and you still allowed him, and you vote for him. You are part of people that were saying that we should put him in the office. And you have seen all the disappointment we have experienced. So what am I trying to say? Some of us, somebody like me, I came out because I look at the way the politics in Nigeria is going. If we don't come out, youths, if we don't come out, we may not have anything to hand it over to our children tomorrow. The next generation, we may not have anything to hand it over to them because these people that are there in the office now, they want to die there. And what they want to do is that even after they die, they want to hand it over the power to their children. So we serve their father, serve their wives, and we also serve their children. And in the same country that we are citizens, and the pastor just come up, and I said, no. Something has to change. Something that one does think within maybe a month or 3 months. It's something that I've been agitating from my mind, my heart, that one day an opportunity will come. And when this opportunity comes, I said, let me make use of it and let me do the little I can do. And that is the little that we are seeing. That today, we are able to come out in Lagos State that is difficult for another party. It's difficult for another party. Like what somebody told me in the party that is reigning in Lagos. He said, even if they said APC is not doing anything, or they can take it.
Mr. Tokwe, I think he has dropped off. Okay, so we'll allow him finish when he comes back. But follow-up question to that before Anto. The key, and I'm sure Anto has been getting that question too, is Mr. Jeff and Mr. Tokwe, when you come back, is definitely the youth, we're going to push for the reduction of your salary. Is this still a selfless venture that you are interested in going on, as the 29 million or the 28 million or the 128 billion that has been assigned for your salary is no longer attractive? That's why I asked you, why are you leaving your successful career, right, for this governance that we're about to slash your salary, right? So are you still going to go on this venture?
Thank you very much, and Anto, for having me again. Um, you have stated something, and I will tell you, and I would want to ask everybody here who know me, for who I am, and um, to probably also confirm. You can drop a message in the group that is Debo and Esther. Yes, I see you. Is Debo somebody who is driven by money? This is my 20th year. In fact, it's going to be 21 years, December this year, that I started my career. And it has never been about money for me. A lot of Nigerian youths have been empowered somehow through a relationship with me. So for me is, will that reduction be a conversation? The answer is yes. Are we going to start the conversation? I, as one person, and even if there are about 6 vacant seats in the Senate right now, even if we carry out that election tomorrow, and 6 of us are under 40 or about 40 years, right? 6 of us cannot change salary of 109 people in total. So the journey is not something that is going to happen as soon as I get into the house, but it has to happen. Because for me, I said this earlier today, and I've been saying it even on social media, 2021 budget of Nigeria amounts to 150 naira per person per day. I would like to repeat that. Somebody can probably type that into the chat room so that everybody can see it. Next year's budget for Nigeria amounts to 150 naira per person per day. Yet there's a whole lot of billions going into the Senate, going into the villa, going into fleet, and all of that. Things that should not happen. So for me, those are some of the things that I'm passionate about. So it is not about the salary or the benefits. I would actually even blame consultants like myself who had actually helped in creating that structure. I don't understand a lot of the things stated, but I can't go in there and change it overnight. I can't go in there and say, hey, you know what, I'm not collecting. But this is what my team and I have decided we're going to do. 30% guarantee of monthly benefits in remuneration and compensation goes to re-education and bringing children that are out of school back to school. 30% guaranteed of my monthly revenue, monthly remuneration, monthly compensation from this seat goes to picking as many students, youth, and children who are out of school and putting them back in school. Another 20% will be going into SME development across what we have said we're going to do when we look across the state based on all of this. So the money, I can't say, hey, 30 million every month, I don't want. It will be paid. I will collect it. But like I've stated, 50% of it is going into the education of the Nigerian children in Lagos. I'm not promising the entire Lagos. I'm promising the children who are out of school who are in Lagos East. 30% of that of my monthly salary is going to go into their education. So if we put that across, as many as it can do. So initially, we're already saying maybe 1,000, but we don't want to put a figure to 1,000 or this. It's as much as that amount can cover. We're going to cover it. The 20% again for SME development. Now, the remaining 50%, no doubt, yes, some I will have to keep to myself, and I'm not, being, silly here by saying, no, I'm not going to, no. The remaining 50%, a whole lot of it would ensure that this engagement that we need to do is financed. and the fact that we're going to be ensuring that we create another group of youth that must take over in 2023. This is what we plan to do. Adekunle, good, I see you. You're my brother. You don't know me, but I know you. Not even as not even as an artist, but you're my brother. I'm sure when we sit down to talk, you will know that I know you very well. So yes, these are the things we want to do. Currently, I am about to incubate 100. I'm about to incubate 100 3D animation, guys who are interested in animation, 3D, gaming and animation and all of that. So this is in partnership with other companies that I will not want to mention now because we've not finalized it. But I tell you for a fact that there are a lot that we're going to do to ensure that we empower, we hold hands of more people so that come 2023, we would already have a force that we can rely on.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. And the people are saying we're not asking engaging questions, but my response is that I'm a lawyer, so as much as possible, myself and Anto didn't constitute this forum to attack or slander anybody. So we're asking very open-ended questions that let you gauge your reps. I'm not a news journalist or a media person looking for sensational stuff. I'm just here to let them speak to you. So my questions are very open-ended and it's not a cross-examination. However, once Anto asks these final questions, we're going to open the room so that you can raise your hand and I pick you and you ask them your question. So Anto.
Yes, again, this is just an opportunity for everyone to meet these reps. I'm not even registered in Lagos, so this is not my election. So what I'm just wanting, I'm a Nigerian to encourage Nigerians to be part of, the electoral process. But I did see a question earlier that I also wanted to pick on. Mr. Taiwo also sent me a message saying that he's having network issues, so he doesn't know if he'll be able to join back in. But Mr. Jeff, you've spoken a lot about the youth, a lot about using technology, which is great. So that's what we all on this Zoom are using, but we are the minority of the people that are in your, in your locations. Most people might not even have, smartphones. They might not know what is a website. They might not know how to get on the website. I have Wi-Fi, so I'm able to be on this Zoom all day, but other people don't even, if you ask them Zoom, they check phones.
Yeah.
So how do you plan to reach people in the grassroots? I got a couple of questions asking about community centers. I'm not from this area, but it looks like there's a lack of community centers, a lack of places where people can come and be enriched, educated outside of just school. It's an actual place where people can learn about their community and just a safe place. But what is your plan for the grassroots specifically? We're here, we're okay, but we know the grassroots is an extra.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So what I'm going to do is, again, I mentioned earlier, we're going to have stakeholder engagement. And what I mean by stakeholder engagement is across board. And when we also look at the different sectors and the different localities, we'll find the best way to reach them. Like I stated earlier, if I'm going to be talking to some guys in the rural, maybe for example, in Bariga, I may not necessarily be able to do that over Zoom. So how would I be engaging them? Meeting with the leaders of informal sector, like I said, the spare part, dealer, the market leaders and all those other people. So it's about creating pockets of such kind of group meetings that can happen. And I can't tell you that I'm going to be physically present in every meeting across the whole 5 local governments. So yes, my team will be ensuring that those kinds of meetings happen regularly. And the ones that can physically be present, I will definitely be physically present there. But that being said, apart from using technology and all of that, the best way to reach the grassroots, it's about engaging them on a physical, conversation and meeting them in person. So yes, there will be such kind of gatherings that we have to create. And, I may not necessarily be able to meet all the market women, but at least I can meet the leaders of all the market women. Do you understand? So we can create pockets of, engagement like that, that allows us, bring them into smaller groups that we can manage. So we can, have such kind of engagement where we meet them in those groups and they can go and disseminate further down, the conversation to us. Beyond that, like I said it again, we're going to be speaking their language. You go to a My 12 today, it'll be best to speak Hausa to the Hausa community there. So I'm not fluent in Hausa anyway, but at least there has to be an interpreter, speak Pidgin and you interpret to them. You go to the spare part community and you have to speak Pidgin to them. You go to the Yoruba, fruit seller in Ketu. You have to be able to, come down and speak their language to them. Currently, I walk up and down my street in Shomolu without, any fears. So that's how it's going to continue. We have to continue to engage people at the grassroots, at their own locality.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. So now I'm going to unmute people to ask questions. So if you want to ask any question, please raise your hand. But Jamil Mati has been asking a lot of questions in the chat, so I would just unmute him so that he can ask you the questions directly, because I feel like he should ask you these questions directly because it's in this constituent. So, hi Jamil, please ask your question.
Hi everyone, good evening. I don't know if we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So personally, I've been very concerned, with this election. For me, this was what the protest was about for me. It wasn't, yes, we protest in different form and different ways. So I took my time on the protest ground to engage people and talk to them about, what this means. It will be very disingenuous and a slap on our faces that on the back of our protest, these guys come back and then win an election. Yes, maybe we don't even win. Maybe Jeff and the other 10 guys on the ballot, apart from the 2, do not win. But then we can send a message, ahead of 2023 and say we are ready to challenge. So part of the questions I've asked, I've sent some of my questions to Anto and Onyi, is that this is an opportunity, however you look at it. Personally, I don't see you guys taking the opportunity. I don't see the structure. I don't see you knocking on doors. Look, this is not, you don't have the structure that APC and PDP have in terms of people going out on their behalf. That's the truth. But right now, what you need to do is knock on doors. You need to speak to people. People need to see you. I don't see you guys doing that, the 10 of you. And I spoke to you, Jeff. I called you personally, and I told you about your name on the ballot, on INEC. Yeah, I think you guys are taking this opportunity for granted. That's my view, personally. So my question to you is, what are you doing, to take, to grab this opportunity by the balls, literally, and, going forward to say, even engaging the other 9 people on the ballot to say, let's come together. Let's collapse our structures, into one. Look, I can vote for you. Anto can vote for Mr. Taiwo. Only can vote for some other person. And that's all spreading our, the votes are not even enough, to challenge these guys. Do you get? I have a whole lot of other questions, but for me right now, that's what is most important, to have a voice, to challenge, to send a message, to say 2023, we're coming for you guys, even if we don't win. I don't expect that we'll win because of the kind of structure that we have. Yes, but I'm hopeful if we come together, we can get something done. What are you doing? What are you guys doing? I'm not talking to you alone now. I'm talking to, of course, you can speak for yourself. But what are you guys doing to take the bull by the horn? To change the narrative, to start a conversation, to drive, these movements.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jamil.
All right.
Jeff.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Jamil. Like you stated, you and I spoke, and clearly, since you mentioned that, and I'll be honest with you, I tried to reach out to as many of these candidates that I can find online. I've not had any success, beyond just one particular lady. I'm trying to remember her name now. And
the NPP candidate.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think she's 38 years old. I think she's the youngest. And I've not, had success with that. And I was very particularly happy that Anto and Fosa were doing this. So for me, I thought, okay, this would be an opportunity to meet with everyone else, and then we can have this conversation that you just mentioned. This is not a personal agenda, um, as it were, because I had to suspend my own campaign as well at the thick of the protest. And I also was on the road. I did a prayer walk through Shomolu. I was at Bagada, I think about 2 or 3 times. I was at Ikeja, at Lekki. You know, I try to do as much as possible to engage. And I have since, you know, like I said, I'm from Imota. I have gone round Agboa, Imota. You know, there was a plan to do Maya Isiu into Ikorodu. I did some Ikorodu. I live here in Shomolu, so I've been around Shomolu, Pedro, into Bagada. But again, this whole process and all of that stalled that, you know, engagement. Like I said earlier, the party doesn't even allow for godfatherism. So there's no godfather, there's no sponsor. So I don't have billboards and banners and all of that. I'm not defacing Lagos because I don't even have the money to do all those. But the guys, some of the youth in Akoka can also say that we've had conversations. I've had conversations in Pedro and different area. I'm going to Bariga in the course of the week. And as much as I'll be going into Ekpe and Ibejuleki axis, you know, soon. The entire plan was to do that into the election, as the election permits. So yes, I would want to have a conversation with other candidates. I will tell you that, let me just say, out of the other 2 parties that you mentioned, one of them have reached out to me in person to say, come and collapse your campaign, you know, with us. And I've said, you know, it's not going to happen. And my party chairman is in this call as well, and he would also testify to that. So for me, I wish that, yes, all of us, you know, who are the young progressive, can come together and form an alliance that can actually, you know, take this structure from them. I believe the Nigerian youth is tired. I think we are tired of the 2 political parties. And I think it is still doable. If it doesn't happen, yes, just like you've stated, we will send a very strong message to them to know that 2023 is not going to be any joke. So I think we can still have it done if others are open for us to sit down and have this conversation. I am open. The moment you said it that day, I told you that it's a good conversation to have, rather than just, you know, distribute our votes. Let's aggregate it and make it happen. So that's my response. Thank you.
All right.
All right, I
Thank
have
you,
a
Mr.
quick
J.
question.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up to what you said before. I think 2 people have kind of mentioned it a bit. You know, many of us are not party members. So the question is,
Yeah.
that you don't have a godfather, so you can't afford to billboards or what have you, but we would like to know, what are your party funds being used for? Even if you can't put up Lekki Toll Gates billboard, there's other ways. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have flyers, we have Keke Napep.
Mm-hmm.
What are, you know, what are party funds being used for, and how do you plan to campaign? Plain is like, we need to understand what, luckily we had this here, but if we didn't have this.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, Anto. So what we have is 2 ways, is the online and the offline campaign. So the online campaign, yes, there's going to be, there was some Facebook ads and sponsors in the past. Again, like I said, because of the protest, I suspended all of that. I'm self-funded, so it's not like I have a lot of money to pump into this. Some donation had come from alumni from Phillips Consulting, as much as some of my ex-OSWITE, OU students who were mates had also contributed. So yes, we are planning to do more online engagement, both on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, to ensure that we are able to have a, you know, wide reach across, you know, the region. Offline, it's going to be more direct in the sense that we're going to be doing handbills rather than defacing Lagos and pasting posters and all of that. We will do some specific banners, you know, as we can afford, in every local government, you know, big enough to catch everybody's attention. But then we're going to do handbills. So the party structure is that at each LCDA or at each local government, there are leadership structure, the chairman, the woman leader, and the youth leader who are in the campaign group at each local government. So we cascade that down also to the ward level. So each of the leaders at the ward level will be able to cover 2-3 streets that is within their ward, and they would go around and say, hey, this is our candidate, this is a flyer, come out. So that is in the process. Like I stated again, if you have not seen us, it's because I suspended the campaign because of the protest, because it will have been insensitive for us to keep campaigning. Others did it, but we said no. We will rather stay with the youth and fight the battle with the youth than go around town just sharing, doing campaign.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Mr. I think you should, after this conversation, have a conversation with Mr. Jamil, because I think he's very familiar with your district and has a lot of complaints and ideas, for you. And I think it's someone that you should draft on your team to help you consolidate. So I'm going to unmute Esther Suedo so you can ask your question. Esther, I'm trying to unmute you. Hi, Esther. All right. I don't know why Esther is not unmuting. I'll unmute Ola now, because Ola also is raising up his hand. So.
Hello, I can hear you. This is Esther. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hello, Jeff. The question I have for you is this. How will you address the recent surge in voters' suppression efforts? I would like to know how you're going to do this to address the recent surge in voter suppression efforts, considering the fact that most people are even afraid to come out to vote in the country, and we have a whole lot of things that usually don't make people come out to vote, such as their ID cards and all of that. So how will you address the recent surge in voter suppression effort? How will you do this? This is just one of my questions that I have for you. My second question is, how are you going to work with lawmakers to prioritize ethics reform in your district? How are you going to do this? Because I know that in the recent years, there's been mounting concerns over the government transparency, accountability, and a whole lot of significant gaps in the country's government ethic rules. So how will you work with lawmakers to prioritize ethic reforms within your locality there? And for my first question, how will you address the recent surge in the voter suppression effort? How are you going to make this happen so that people will come out to vote for your party? That is after you have sensitized people about your party, which Mr. Jami was talking about. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Esther. So to take your second question first, I would say that, habits are created over a series of events, and you create an habit from a cue, and then you get into the process of that cue over and over and over again, and it becomes an habit, right? So to be able to do that, it's not something that I will wake up and get into the house and change. But if one person starts to be accountable, if one person is in the house and is doing the things that he's supposed to do, is doing it right, is accountable to the people, is giving the feedback, everybody will say, oh, this is an example for others to emulate, and then it becomes easier to do. You can't force people to change what they've been doing, but you can actually, again, try to do the things and show them and become an example. And that's how I believe that can happen. So voter education is going to solve the first question. Yes, maybe because there's been vote buying and all this other stuff, but we saw it in Benin, in Edo State, that people collected money and vote for whoever they wanted to vote for. At the end of the day, who they wanted won the election, and it didn't matter the party. It was just because they wanted to. So they collected whatever they want to collect and all of that. But yes, we are not buying votes. We don't even have the money to buy votes. Neither do we even have the dream to buy votes. So it'll be for us to educate the voters and say that, this is what needs to be done and the reason why they should come out. If you say enough is enough, then get out there. You don't need to fight. You don't need to do anything. just get out there peacefully, do your vote, stand and ensure that your vote counts. And then ensure that when your vote counts, it becomes something that you can go back and say, yes, I voted for person A and they counted my vote. And I know that, yes, my vote was counted. And that's it. So voter education needs to come in play. And as we're going and helping to build confidence, we know that INEC stated last, I think on Thursday, that in 2 weeks' time, they're going to review and see when they will want to have, this, the election to hold. So for us we have about another 2 weeks to engage, with the hope that there would be peace in the state that will give INEC the confidence to carry on with the election. It will be also time for us to engage the electorate. What we are seeing is that there are a lot of voters card that have been discovered from police stations here and there. So we will just ensure that if at a polling unit that's supposed to have 500, 200 of them are able to vote, let those 200 votes count. We might not be able to get the entire 500 in the polling unit that should vote because they don't have their voter's card or they need to change from one location to another. The party is also going to ensure that there are polling unit agents representing the party. So if there are 200 accreditation, 200 votes, or 200 accreditation, 198 votes, and that 198 votes counts, and in the collation center, that 198 is what is recorded and is what it's announced. So that is what we're trying to do, and by God's grace we will make it happen with the support of the youth anyway, who are also going to be peaceful on the day of election, who are also going to stand by their vote. We should have good success.
All right. Thank you. I think Mr. Taiwo is back. Sorry, I keep saying Mr. Taiwo because your display name says Taiwo. I'm sorry, but Mr. Tokwa is back. So the next question. So the next person asking a question, both of you answered that question. I think Mr. Ola wants to ask a question. So Mr. Ola, I'm unmuting you. But there are two Olas, so I'm trying to figure out which one I'm supposed to.
Two different people.
Oh, there are two different people, but both of them have their hands raised.
Yeah,
all right,
good evening.
Mr. Ola. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Jeff.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I can see you're all smiling and all that. Okay, I've been listening to, kudos to the two ladies that organized this. It's very important to us, especially for a time as this. You understand? Thank you so much, Antoniette. Thank you so much, Oyin Consola. God bless you. Mr. Jeff, I've joined, I've been listening to some of your conversations and I discovered something that I picked from it. I know politicians, I know they lie a lot. I must be plain with you. They lie a lot. They have sugar-coated mouths. That's the truth. You understand? Because somebody asked you about, I think it's Antoniette. She asked that if the youth is going to push for the reduction of your salary, and you said you are not after money. Oh boy, you are going there. Okay, you don't want to collect salary. Is that it? You say it's not possible. It's not possible. So for me, this I think is a lie. Seriously, okay. And it is that time.
So he didn't exactly say. He didn't exactly say he wasn't going to collect salary. He said, as he said, his motivation is not like money. No, he said his motivation is not money. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I will collect my salary. I will collect my salary and every.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
But what I said
now.
So ask your question, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me just. I just want to ask, stay intelligent.
Definitely.
Despite the fact that all this while we've been keeping quiet, and it does not mean that we don't know what we are doing. You understand? Now, I don't know if they've asked you this question or if you've actually stated what you want to do, your structure, want to still lay down plans, what you are aiming for. You understand?
Yeah.
We want to see all these things. You talk about it. You understand? What are the next steps? What are you supposed to do? Because I know several people in my constituency. a lot of things that I've seen for years, they are still there, yet undone. You understand? And these people will come and they will complain and they will campaign and they will say a lot of things, you understand, just for them to get voted for. And after that, they mute themselves. Most of them, they don't release their numbers. Although I want to believe you that you say you're going to release your number, you understand? But we are not just after the number, but we are after what you are going to do in the constituency. So you need to have a plan. We are going to know what you have as planned. So that is where we know that, okay, we want to vote for you. You understand? These are the things we want to. Then secondly, there is something that has been coming to my mind. I think we should not just hold our politicians accountable for the words they say alone. I think they should be written was agreements. Okay, these are the things we want to achieve with this one and so years. We are going to sign it. It's an agreement. You understand? Okay, if we campaign for you, if we go on and say, if we do this for you, then okay, these are the things that you will do with this one and so years. You understand? If you did not do it, we can sue you to court. I think with that, they will be able to know that, okay, this is, we are serious. We are not just holding them by the words that they say, because they've been lying to us for all these years. You understand? And they take us for a fool. And you can imagine what happened in Lekki. Till today, it is still paining me. What happened in Lekki? And they will keep lying. They still keep lying that no, nothing happened. Nobody died. You understand? So it's really painful. You understand? So now you are coming in now. Want to know your plans? You understand? What you are in for, what you want to achieve. And if we push in for that, these are the things we want to do. We are going to sign for it. Will you accept?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Would I accept if you want to sign a pact with me for what I will do? The answer is yes. Let me tell you what I want to do, and it's simple. If you go to my website www.debojeffjohnson.com, you will find them there in all the key areas and what we want to do, whether health or food security or security generally, and education and all of that. So if you go to debojeffjohnson.com, you will find all of those things there. So hold me accountable to the things that I have up there. Like I stated again, that particular website is going to be interactive. You will be able to chat with my office, and you'll be able to have your feedback, and then we can talk as such from there. Like I stated again, my number remains the same. Maybe when I get to the Senate, there will be another dedicated line for me. I don't know, but I think that's what is most likely going to be. So I will keep that line as much as I keep the one that I've been using all this while. And it will remain the same, and I will continue to carry it. So that's not a problem. The other question that I believe you may want to find out about my campaign and my plan is that if we're able to understand, and the understanding is this: I am not, the Senate is not an executive role. It's not an executive office. So I don't have the capacity to implement project itself. A legislative role in the Senate is to legislate laws and bills that will drive the operation. That's policies that will drive the operation. So everything I'll be doing will be focused on getting out the right bills and stuff. And I read, somebody said something, or a couple of people said something earlier, that the 1999 Constitution, let's not say anything. It's still the structure we are working with right now. Let's not say it is totally bad. It's what we are working with right now. It now takes us to get into the House and begin to ask critical questions around each of the elements of the Constitution and say, which one is not going to take us to the future? Which one is not going to bring us closer to digitalization, that we require? If you're going to be talking about AIs and ARs and, Internet of Things and games and animations and all of that, and what the future holds, self-drive cars and all those stuff, we may not be able to use 1999 Constitution. Just the same way I've told you earlier that the 2021 budget of Nigeria is not going to take us anywhere. So we must know that the work is not for one person. The work is not going to happen overnight, but it's a journey that we have to systematically take. But you see, we need to take it one step at a time and in the right direction. So that is what I am guaranteeing. I am not saying I'm a Superman. I'm not saying I'm going to turn 108 other senators around and get them to do our bid. I'm saying that it will be important for us to get there, build structure to ensure that the majority is gotten in 2023. If we can achieve majority, at least we achieve a very strong number so that the next opportunity we have, we take the majority.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff, on that. I'll unmute Mr. Tokwe so you answer that question.
What about me? Hello?
Sorry?
The second Ola.
The second, Mr. Ola.
Oh, okay. The second. Just 1 second. Let me allow Mr. Tokwe answer. The first or last question, so
Okay,
that
then.
second Ola can ask. Both parties the question. But I just quickly want to say that it's very important. A lot of us confuse the different roles of government and their responsibilities. So many of the blames we put even on the state government is supposed to be at the local government level. And which is one of the things we're going to be doing a lot on this conversation, is trying to educate on the different roles, from senator, from legislative to executive, both state and federal, so that we can, properly understand. And we don't allow them make promises that, because I have conversations with a lot of legislators, and they begin to make the promise of an executive person, which now complicates issue. And that's why from the conversation, the first question we asked them was, well, what's your role as a senator, for us to have that fundamental, this thing. But I think Mr. Tokwe has gone off again. We might probably just have to have a Twitch chat with him at this point, But second, Mr. Ola, please ask your question.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. I really commend your boldness to come out to represent a cross-section of the youths in Nigeria. But before I go ahead, I would like you to understand this. I personally don't believe that the youths have something special to offer. And I will tell you why. Over the years, we have had youths that have represented us in different strata of the Nigeria governmental structure, and we were let down hugely. Let's start from the time of the military regime of Gowon. Gowon was about 36 years or thereabout when he was the president. We all knew that the civil war was kind of, it was a major causative factor in that war. Then we come back to, over the years, we've got the likes of Dimeji Bankole, we've got the likes of Salisu Buhari. All these guys were indicted for one wrongdoing or the other. And then we have the present Kogi State governor that has done nothing that is commendable. So because of that, I don't want us to raise our hopes talking about the youths. But then we believe there are some good ones that can actually represent us and do what we expect them to do. Having said that, unfortunately, my brother, with all your sagacity and what have you, unfortunately, you cannot function well in a structure that is faulty. You cannot in any way do whatever intention, whatever how good it is, with the 1999 Constitution. And I'm kind of put aback when you were just opposing the Constitution to sports car and flying cars or what have you. Apparently, it gives me the feeling that you don't understand what the Constitution is all about. I'm sorry to say, but I have to be very blunt with you. The Nigeria Constitution as it is our problem. Is the bane of Nigeria as it is. The greatest developmental process in Nigeria happened between the years of the late 40s and up to 1963. If you go and do your findings. And the reason was because of the constitution that we were adopting then. The Constitution of 1963 allowed decentralization. Our youth came out clamoring for the government to end SARS. Unfortunately, that is their own perspective. That is what they understand to be the problem. But it goes beyond SARS. It's as a result of a failed policy structure from the central government. In a case where every force in the country is answerable to the central government. It is unfortunate that we cannot have proper policing in the entire country. And that is because of the 1999 Constitution that delegates all powers of police to the central government. The 1999 Constitution is our problem. So if you are going to go there by providence, because honestly, I wish we had APC and PDP representatives also on this call. Probably we could send them the message to tell the Alo Chamber about this. In 2017, there was a vote to change the constitution. It suffered a setback with just 2 votes. In 2005, Obasanjo had a national confab where people came together to discuss the constitution, and they came up with some recommendation. Unfortunately,
please can we get to the question, please?
Yeah, unfortunately, it did not scale through. The coming to 2014, billions were also spent to have another confab. This means that the government, they know our problem. The senators are the main people that are taking us back. If you get there, I'm not asking a question. With due respect, sir, I'm appealing to you that if you get there, please move the motion. It takes just one person to move the motion to restructure this country. With proper restructure, we have state police, and the issue of remuneration will be put at bay. But with the structure now, it cannot work. We need health reformation. We need labor reformation. We need reform in many sectors in the country, and it can only be done through restructuring. Without restructuring, you will only go there and come out as a failed senator. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, it's a fact. So if you get there, please, I beg of you. And the youth are planning something also. You should tell them this. We are planning a recall process. We are planning to recall the senators one after the other. If they fail to move the motion for restructure within 3 months from now. Enough of this madness. We need to change things.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ola. But last week, the Speaker of the House of Rep announced that the constitutional reform is going to start, and they are working closely with the NBA to start that process. Unfortunately, because it's the Constitution and we have to have conversations with every district, it's going to probably take almost 4 years.
No, I'm sorry. Let me just chip this in, please. Sorry, please, just a moment. It doesn't take long. I mean, we've got, as I said, we've got the 2005 confab. We've got 2014 confab, both by Jonathan and Obasanjo, and there were some recommendations that were made. The only thing they can do, very simple, they can just set up a committee involving probably 2 or 3 representatives from each state. All they need to do is sit down, look at the outcome of the confab in 2014 and 2005, and marry the 2 together with the 1963 Constitution. I forgot to mention that. The 1963 Constitution is the biggest solution to our problem. So it's not going to take 4 years. So please, Mr.
I get you, Mr. Ola. Yeah. Thank you so much. I get you. But then again, please, let's also understand that, we're also dealing with reality. But sequel to, and as much as you've listed all the recommendation that has been stated, it also depends on the constitution of the House of the National Assembly before any kind of laws or bills can be passed, which now brings me to a question that, a pertinent question or a pertinent observation that, I'm going to encourage everybody on this call for us to be very active on, is the next electoral bill. We have to ensure that the next protest that we're going to embark on is to ensure that the electoral bill that during Saraki's time that was supposed to be passed, that had electronic voting, is passed within the next 6 months, because that's the only way we can address the issue that Ms. Esther stated about voters suppression. That's how we can have conversations about to make campaign inexpensive and allow the best of us to run for positions, because right now it is very illogical and it's very almost impossible for the best hands that leave private business to come into government to run on the current campaign structure that we have or the country has put in place. It's totally impossible. It's like literally almost impracticable. So we need to start focusing. We need to start having conversations with all our senators that we currently have there, and also Mr. Jeff. We're going to be talking to the NNP candidate and the PDP candidate and APC candidates during this week. And we're trying to explain to you people that it's important that this bill passes. The last time it didn't pass because we know that they did not want it to pass. So as much as we want some things, the Constitution of the National Assembly determines what goes as law or what goes as an act. So that's why we have these forums in different pockets. It's not just this forum. I have friends that are also having these conversations around. So please, as much as possible, every one of us, let's go back and take the message of we need to pass the current electoral bill or reform for it to pass within the next 6 months, so that we can actually achieve getting good people with values into the system. Which brings me to my next question for Mr. Jeff. Can you give us four value sets that controls your life? What are your core values as a human being, as an individual? 4. Then we'll take another question.
Number 1 for me is integrity. Integrity is very key. And for everyone who knows me, who is here, connected on this call, can actually tell you that when I say is, A, it's actually what you're going to find. Integrity is very key for me. Number 2, excellence. My family, feels that I'm a perfectionist when it comes to dealing with things. And those who have worked with me know that if the work has to be done, I would get on the ground and get my hands dirty and actually get to the ground to do it myself and ensure that, we deliver excellent job. Humanity, is another key watchword for me. Because I believe that everything that is of my life, it's about human, it's about people that are around me. I will mention a name now, Foza, Deroju. I'm sure you know who that is. So if you go back and ask Deroju and say, does this guy, who is he? She will tell you. So I can, all I would just say is just do your research about my life. And everything that I tell you, you will find, my father would tell me that money will finish, but people will remain. So I've never put my attention on money, but on people, because that is how I have lived my life and I'm still living till tomorrow. The 4th one, which I would say will probably be next on the line, will probably be passion. If I put a lot of passion in whatever I do. So those would be the things that, I can say that the 4 keywords that drives what I do, very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jeff. Anto, do you have any question before Mr. Jamu says he has another question? So if Anto, you have another question, please read out.
And it's in combination with some things I'm seeing in the chat here. I know you spoke earlier about the fact that you plan moving forward that you're going to do flyers, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But I think your name has maybe been on the list maybe since September or so. And lots of people have said they didn't hear about you. If it wasn't for us having this thing here, you don't know that you exist. What had you been doing September till today? Do you really think it was wise to stop campaigning during the protest time, or do you think you could have used it some kind of way?
Yeah.
I want to know, what have you spoke about someone that Foza knows that may know you, but people don't know you for now.
Yeah.
So have you done anything in your area that maybe people know, have seen exist, but don't know that it's you?
So picking that up, I would say that I've been engaging, like I said, COVID-19 is one thing. So having to engage in a large crowd, INEC did not support it because we had, INEC called for a conference. And with the COVID-19 observation, you couldn't engage a large crowd of people. So there was no rally and there was no way I could do any rally. But yet we did a bit of online. Now, some Ola mentioned it that during the protests I should be campaigning. But you and I know that the protests did not allow for any political view, because again, there was no need to go and start use for me. And I hear Ola out, and I appreciate his view. But I also looked inward and asking my team questions. Are we rather going to be showing our humanity side? Are we going to be human and actually go out there and really be part of the protest, or we're going to go out there just because we want to use it to campaign so that we can get popularity? So that was why we suspended campaign, just to be part of the protest itself. Because what is the essence of becoming a senator when my life is not protected, or the life of the loved ones that I have around me are not protected? So let us do what is right first of all, and trust God for the remaining things to happen. That's what happened, right? I said again that I'm not funded, by any godfather or any sponsor. I have done everything that I've done from my savings, from little contributions that have come from friends and families, and quite a lot of them, or some of them, are on this group who had contributed something. Now, for whatever they have contributed, we have used it. In online campaign, we've used it to put up some posters. In fact, my former lecturer in Olabisi Onabanjo, which is over 12 years ago that I left the university or so, printed posters and sent to me from Ibadan at his own cost, and sent it, and it was also used. It is not enough, yes, no doubt. And we need to do more, and we're going to do more, but we need funding, to be able to do that. So I can't spend the money I don't have, clearly, and I'm not going to go after anybody to say, hey, give me money because I want to do this. And, I'm giving money to do posters and banners and all of that. And then at the end of the day, the person is now the one demanding what I do when I get into office. So that is why you have not seen a lot of posters around, or banners and all that. But we've done some online, and we're going to do more online, and with so much more this kind of engagement. I have been engaging the people that I know. I've mentioned in Akoka, in Bariga, in Pedro, in Shomolu, at Timota, in Ikorodu, and all those areas. Yes, we're still engaging. I think Kobis is here. I'm not sure I saw his name, but he was one of my friends who lives in Bagada. There's a plan to actually see how we can see some of the groups, some of the youth groups around that area, maybe the estate is living in and all that stuff. So yes, that's the plan. So what we plan to do going forward with this extension now is that we will print, rather than defacing Lagos, we will print more handbills and do door to door. And like I said, I might not be the one making myself present at each of this door to door, because I may not be able to cover everywhere. Okay, so Kobe's is here. Yeah, so at least the Kobe's I said is here. So Kobe is here. So thanks, Kobe. So we're going to be going, and distributing handbills and having that one-on-one conversations. And like I said again, we are meeting with informal sectors, the spare part dealers, the market women, and all of that. That is the strategy that we want to adopt going forward. Actually, to meet with the people, to be able to get the conversation going. Now that at least we have another 2 weeks or so before the main election.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. I also wanted to mention that Esther mentioned, as a form of, I think, idea that for your online, you should be more geo-specific, to your district members. So, Mr. Jamil,
yes.
Yeah, please ask your question briefly because we're about to round up, please.
All right, thank you. My question is about job creation. So,
okay.
I know for a fact that in Ikorodu, especially in the district, there are a couple of companies, I know the tech company is very big. It used to be very big, rather. And the last couple of years, they've done how no one represented. It used to be Beehive. People come out but now all of those jobs are gone. I know there's Lucky Fiber. I know that it's been gone down a bit as well, and a whole lot of other companies in the area. So my question to you is, at the end of the day, I know you don't have capacity to create jobs, so to say, but you can drive legislation. That's why there's lobbying. People lobby to get situated in their zone. Do you understand? They're talking about creating a 75 billionaire fund for something. You can lobby and talk to other senators to vote and then put that in your senatorial district. Do you understand? So for me, these are the things that drive the conversation. And I was telling you about on the protest ground talking to people. Do you understand? And engage. I must have spoken to between 500 to 800 on talking to them. Just voter education, basically. Do you get? So if do you have plans to engage on that level? Because that is what
All right. I don't know if it's me, but Mr. Jamu's line is kind of
his network is a little bit bad.
Yeah. So, but I think you get
about educating people. You talk about.
All right, Jamil, I'm not sure. There's a lag.
At the end of the day, 30% is good.
Okay, so I think his question was centered about on job creation and how you intend to lobby to, get job creation. So please, can you quickly answer that in like 2 minutes? I take one more question and we round up, please.
Okay, so basically, yes, he mentioned Lucky Fiber. It is almost as good as gone. There's IPO beside it, and that's actually even the road that leads to my hometown. And literally every weekend, I go through that.
And he also mentioned Nimitex or something like that. There's a company called
Nimitex. Nisemtex, yes. Those are fabric companies that have packed up, So if you ask me, right, like I said, the major focus will be about formulating laws and looking into bills and laws that would empower the creation of more businesses. Somebody has stated earlier about, everybody is not going to be an entrepreneur. No doubt, as much as we would focus, some funds for those who want to be entrepreneurs and run their business. Imagine we're able to empower one, tailor, so to say, and he has about, 6 apprentices under him. Those 6 apprentices will be empowered as a result of that one that is being empowered. You understand? So yes, are we going to be lobbying, for, trying to get more laws that will favor development in business? The answer is yes. That's the essence of somebody who has been in business consulting for 20 years to actually be in the house. It's about being able to go there and say, let us get in there and actually help to build capacity for businesses so that businesses don't die. I can tell you for free that over 500,000 businesses have died in Nigeria in the last 2 or 3 years thereabout, that have died because there was an issue around, the laws that drives how they survive. So we have to look at all the laws and look at all the things that, exist in the Constitution that will help to empower more businesses to remain, and the ones that are, that are there to expand and become bigger so that they can have capacity to employ more people who would want to be employed. So that is what we're going to do. The problem of employability is also a back end of the fact that are these youth employable? So building capacity and building skills for employability will be some of the things we will focus on, rather than just entrepreneurship. We're going to focus also on building capacity for employment. So yes, we will lobby for how much we can get, funding down. I will not only focus on the federal government allocation and all of that. We're going to look at the private sector as well. I stated earlier, we have an approved $30 million. My company has had an approval of $30 million investment in agric. and SME finance. So, as soon as we can unlock that, we're going to be pumping that in, and we're going to encourage more foreign investment and local investment into this sector so that we can build capacity.
All right, fantastic. Just a sideline point, that please, whatever foreign investment you're doing, please ensure that our people own this land and we're not selling our property to the white man again.
No.
Right now, the Chinese.
There's no sale. Yeah, there's no sale of land. The lands
Yeah.
belong to the families in their communities. We will lease it from them, and we will put our youth as the farm managers. So we're not giving money to anybody and say, hey, here's money. We're saying that we would put everything that is required and put them there as a farm manager. So when they produce whatever output they get a percentage of it, and then we take the remaining and then put it back into where the funds is, and we circle it around, over the next 5 years.
Fantastic. I just needed to point that out. Mr. Tunde Bella will be our last question for the day, and myself and Andrew will round up. So Mr. Tunde Bella will ask a question, Mr. Jeff will answer, and you give us your parting words. Myself and Andrew will round up, and we'll say peace out. So Mr. Tunde, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I won't call mine a question. It's more like a suggestion of what can help your campaign. I'll use Banky W as an example. He's famous. He tried. He's a young man, but he didn't win. His campaign was majorly on social media, I think. In Nigeria, elections are on the grassroots.
Yes.
And a lot of times when you have so many ambition, people get lost. They don't like, oh, what exactly is this standing for? If you can just ride on one thing, I would just suggest to say, when I get there, I will ensure that we lower the salary for senators or something like that. That can be the only thing that will be your headline. And go to the grassroots, get some recording done, and get a media house on your side. If you need to pay them to just show what you do, because when you go around to the grassroots, it's just like you're whistling in the dark. No one knows what's happening. People need to see these things. And we need to go, it's good to have online presence, social media presence, but we need to connect to the people in your area.
Yes.
They read the, maybe it's LTV, the local TV station, so that people can see that you're actually going to these people, and you're making an impact. So in my own opinion, just briefly, one thing that you can just ride on, that would be like, oh, they know, if they hear your name, that he wants to drive down. And young people will be interested in this, because we think people are fed fat on us enough. Well, on us, because I don't live in Nigeria, but I'm Nigerian. So I try to support Nigeria because I'm around. So I just think that will help your cause. Young people will really relate to it. Just not a question, but just a sort of contribution to your campaign.
Thank you.
Because I saw
much,
someone saying they don't know you. They need to know you.
Yeah. Mr. Just a bit of from what Mr. Tunde said, and just to follow up. I totally agree with you on the one line campaign, because they also work for Banky. I was part of Banky's volunteer, and we did a lot of door to door. It was very exhausting. And one of the things we found out also is very expensive campaigning in this country. We did everything, it was only those online that saw what was happening online. But personally, I probably spent almost 200 hours of volunteer time going door to door, in the Etiosa community, and it was very hectic, very hectic. But
can imagine.
One of the issues we also had was, as many as we thought we were in terms of volunteers, we also had issues on the voting day, because we didn't have poll agents in every section. And these are and the thing is, there's so many polling stations, and some not necessary as much, some are necessary, and all those kind of many stuff. But yeah, Mr. Tunde Bella's suggestion comes in very handy, and I'm also giving you a bit of new party volunteer experience, going there. So your closing words, please, Mr. Jeff.
All right, thank you, Foza, and thank you, Anto. I will say this, that in fact, the state chairman just left, and I just saw that he left, is that, you know, just like you stated, door to door.
You know, most of the time I have to check if I'm the one that is hanging. So I think Mr. Jeff is the one that is hanging right now. So I think myself and Anto will just kind of give like a overview before he goes and drops in and drops out. So guys, we're going to be running this more frequently. We're also going to be going into a lot of voters education, into a lot of situation room education. The good thing is that Anto is an INEC ambassador, so we have, you know, first-hand information to when there are by-elections, when, you know, there are certain campaigns going on or whatever. So we would, as much as possible, try to always inform you guys, you know, what's going on and what's up. Anto, please go on.
Sure. Thank you guys for joining. We think this is very important. We have to continue on the wave of what we started a few weeks ago, and we definitely are going to get to the Nigeria that we need. So we are actually going to have our next Zoom call on Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. It is with Okpeyemi Lawal. She is the senatorial candidate for the NNPP party, New Nigeria's People's Party. So put it in your calendars. Wednesday, 7 p.m. I think it'll be great for us to, you know, hear a woman's point of view, because not only are we fighting for the youth, we're also fighting for gender equality. So, you know, so thank you guys all again. Luckily, I think Mr. Jeff seems to be he's probably the most accessible candidate I've spoken to so far. I've talked to those other guys too, and I've had to go through lots of loops to get there. But he seems to be someone that you guys can just message on Twitter, and he'll probably answer your questions. So feel free to continue to hound him until he answers every single one of your questions, because he is the person you have to vote for. If you know any other candidates who, because we can't find, lots of them are invisible. I've tried every angle. So if you know them
Very
or know
invisible.
them or know who knows them, please direct them to us. We will talk to anyone. We don't care. We just need help getting to them. So if you do have these people's contacts or know who does, just send us a message. We're ready. Thanks.
Yeah.
God bless.
All right, Mr. Jeff, just your wrap-up words, please.
Okay, so thank you very much. I don't know what was wrong with the network. So yeah, so we're going to do door to door, and it's not easy, it's not cheap. It requires a lot of effort, and we're going to do it. We're going to reach out to as many people. What I'm asking for Lashitu, for Jamu, and every other person who is connected, you know, on this is, if you believe that, you know, we youth need to stand up, and whatever the outcome of this election is, we should work together. Please become the megaphone, become the voice, set up something in your area and tell me, Debo, you need to come to my area so day. I will definitely be there. Everywhere I've been to and everywhere I've mentioned that I've been to, somebody on ground there has actually organized that meeting, and I've gone in there and spoken to the people. I would love to, you know, come at your instance, you know, to come and sit down with you, even if it's not with everybody, if it's with you or a group of friends that you have, you know, trust me, a vote from you and maybe one or two people from your household is a lot, you know, trust me, is a lot. And I appreciate everyone, you know, who have said something, who have asked questions. I thank you, Oza and Anto, for this opportunity to be here. God bless you guys, and I pray and, you know, trust God that more and more, you know, great things we will achieve in this nation together. Thank you so very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jeff, for joining us. And people are asking, how do they join your volunteer team? How do they join ADP's party agents? Please, can you quickly say that? Yeah, Mr. Jeff, someone asked that how can they become volunteers for you and also join as party agents for ADP?
Yeah, so please just go to my website, www.debojeffjohnson.com. You will see a volunteer button there. Click on it and fill the form. There are just three things that is being asked: your phone number, your name, and I think your location. So if you feel that, we will get back to you and add you to a Telegrams group that we've created for volunteers. And then, we will add you up on the volunteer group immediately so that we can start to connect and discuss. And, that is a great.
All right, Mr. Jeff's network just networked again. So guys, and another thing I'd like to pass along is that all of us are now influencers and decentralized leaders in our own part. That's one of the things that the protest has shown us. So you don't have to wait for me, you don't have to wait for Anto, you don't have to wait for one celebrity to make you do something. Many of us are active in our estate communities. If you feel like you need to reach out to myself or Anto to get the contacts of any of the people we've spoken with, we'll share their contact with you so that you can invite them to your estate meeting, and have conversation with your people and whatnot. But this is our responsibility. This is how we take back our country, by voting in people that actually represent the value systems that you have, and also you trust and believe, and you think would also represent you and stuff. I think the next call, what of the things we'll do is I'll do a little flyer or a little this thing on how to recall your senators and recall your rep if they are not answering you, so that we can pass on that information to everybody, and also about the electoral reform, electoral bill that we need to pass. Thank you so much for joining us. I know these things can be a bit boring and a bit long, but yeah, this is something we have to do. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anto. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you Wednesday by 7 p.m. with our next candidate. So peace, guys.
Peace. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.